For over 3 decades, boarding a commercial jetliner almost always meant stepping onto a Boeing from the United States or an Airbus from Europe. These two aerospace giants have ruled the skies like emperors, sharing a near-absolute monopoly over global passenger aviation. Airlines across the world had little choice but to rely on these titans, and rivals that tried to break into the market never managed to truly disrupt their dominance. But in 2022, everything changed. A new competitor quietly took off, not from Seattle, not from Toulouse, but from Shanghai, China. Its name, the China C919. This was no ordinary airplane. It was China's first large-scale, domestically developed passenger jet. At first, many in the West dismissed it as a copycat project destined to fail. But today, the world is no longer laughing. Since its launch, the C919 has racked up over 1,400 orders. Yes, many are from Chinese airlines, but international carriers are also beginning to take notice. Why? Because the C919 promises something airlines desperately want: performance on par with the Boeing 737 and Airbus A320, but at a significantly lower cost. In an era where airlines are under pressure to cut expenses, reduce emissions, and expand routes, this low-cost competitor is a potential game-changer. But make no mistake, this story is about far more than a single airplane. It's about the balance of global power shifting before our very eyes. The aviation industry is one of the most complex, tightly regulated, and politically sensitive fields in existence. Every jetliner is not just a machine, it's a symbol of national pride, economic independence, and technological power. For decades, only nations with vast resources and political influence could even attempt to build a commercial airliner. China, through the C919, has broken through that gate. Until now, Boeing and Airbus together commanded an astonishing 98% of the global market for large passenger jets. No one else even came close. That's why the C919's entry is sounding alarm bells, not just in corporate boardrooms, but in the corridors of political power from Washington to Brussels. This isn't just about who sells more planes. It's about who controls the future of aviation and the global standards that shape it. Western governments quickly realized the threat. By late 2023, the U.S. Department of Commerce began targeting China's aviation supply chain, adding Chinese firms to blacklists and restricting exports of critical parts. The pressure point: the LEAP-1C engine, co-developed by General Electric in the US and Safran in France. Without that engine, the C919 cannot fly. In fact, more than 30% of the C919's parts come from American suppliers. And Washington believed it had China trapped. As one official bluntly put it, "Without our parts, they won't deliver 200 planes." But China had been preparing for this moment for years, as far back as 2011. While engineers were designing the C919's airframe, another team was working on a far more ambitious project: building a domestic high-performance jet engine, backed by over $2 billion in government funding. China poured resources into advanced labs, recruited global talent, and launched a focused national effort not to copy Western designs, but to surpass them. The result was the Yang C919 next-generation engine built entirely in China. In May 2025, a C919 powered solely by this engine completed its maiden test flight. It wasn't just symbolic. It was proof that China could build a jet engine without relying on American or European technology. After more than 500 hours of flight testing in extreme conditions, the Yang C919 passed with no major failures. It used cutting-edge materials such as ceramic, matrix composites, and crystal turbine blades, technologies once thought to be the exclusive domain of GE or Rolls-Royce. Against all odds, China had done it. The very sanctions meant to hold them back had instead fueled their determination. What began as an attempt to choke China's progress became the spark that accelerated it. And this is only the beginning. With the C919 now flying on Chinese engines, engineers are already working on the CJ2000, an even more powerful engine designed for the upcoming C929. China's answer to the Boeing 787 Dreamliner and the Airbus A350. The CJ2000 aims to achieve longer range, lower fuel consumption, and greater thrust without a single foreign component. If successful, it will allow Chinese airlines to fly non-stop from Beijing to London or New York entirely on homegrown technology. This represents more than just an engineering achievement. It's a geopolitical realignment. By blocking access to foreign technology, the West forced China to innovate faster. Engineers who once studied abroad are now leading domestic projects. Companies that once imported technology are now building it themselves. China, once dismissed as an imitator, is now setting the pace of global aviation innovation. The implications are massive. If the C919 and its successors win over airlines worldwide, Boeing and Airbus could lose market share, jobs, and influence over global aviation standards. For the first time in modern history, the West risks losing its monopoly on the skies. So what does this mean? It means the race for the future of aviation is no longer a two-player game. It's Boeing versus Airbus versus an entire nation with near-limitless resources, manpower, and long-term vision. The C919 was just the beginning. The C929 is coming next. And history is being written at 35,000 feet.